What's up, guys? Thank you for listening to the Overflow Podcast.
The name of this podcast is inspired by Psalms 23:5, where David talks about how his cup overflows with God's joy, mercy, and peace all throughout his life.
Each week, we'll be talking about how to live in the overflow of God, and we'll walk it out in our everyday lives, not just on Wednesdays and Sundays, but each and every day. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Overflow Podcast. My name is JJ,
And I'm Mallory.
and for today's episode, we're going to go over what our pastor Trey was talking about this morning at church. It's about David and Bathsheba, the red flags, white flags that occurred in David's life. It may sound like a little blur or confusion right now, as what have I just said, but that's why we're going to get into scripture to start it off. So we'll be in 2 Samuel 11 today. So if you want to follow along, grab your Bibles, or I don't know where you're listening on, but yeah, grab your Bibles and follow along. If not, that's okay. So it says David and Bathsheba. In the spring, at the time when the kings went off to war, David sent Joab out with the king's men and the whole Israelite army. They destroyed the Ammonites and besieged Rabbah. But David remained in Jerusalem. One evening, David got up from his bed and walked around on the roof of the palace. From the roof, he saw a woman bathing. The woman was very beautiful, and David sent to someone about her. The men said, "She is Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite." David sent messengers to get her. She came to him, and he slept with her. Now she was purifying herself from her monthly uncleanness. Then she went back home. The woman sent word to David, saying, "I am pregnant." So David sent this word to Joab, "Send me Uriah the Hittite." And Joab sent him to David. When Uriah came to him, David asked him how Joab was, how the soldiers were, and how the war was going. Then David said to Uriah, "Go down to your house and wash your feet." So Uriah left the palace, and the gift from the king was sent after him. But Uriah slept at the entrance to the palace with all his master's servants, and did not go down to his house. David was told Uriah did not go home, so he asked Uriah, "Haven't you just come from a military campaign? Why didn't you go home?" Uriah said to David, the ark and Israel and Judah are staying in tents, and my commander Joab and my Lord's men are camped in the open country. How could I go into my house and to eat and drink and make love to my wife? As surely as you live, I will not do such a thing." Then David said to him, "Stay here one more day, and tomorrow I will send you back." So Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day and the next. At David's invitation, he ate and drank with him, and David made him drunk. But in the evening, Uriah went out and slept to sleep on his mat among his master's servants. He did not go home. In the morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it with Uriah. In it wrote, "Put Uriah out in front where the fighting is fiercest. Then withdraw from him, so he will be struck down and die." So Joab had the city under siege. He put Uriah at a place where he knew the strongest defenders were. When the men of the city came out and fought against Joab, some of the men in David's army fell. Moreover, Uriah the Hittite died. So there's more to the passage in 2 Samuel 11, but that's pretty much all we need to really read about. So
Yeah. So I think, first off, we need to talk about, who David was. We're basically just going to condense Trey's sermon for y'all. And so I think, first off, we talked about the fact that David was living in such victory in his life. He was a man after God's own heart. He took down a giant.
yeah, this is the
He was
same
a little
David that
dude.
destroyed the giant.
Yeah, that's like
You've
me.
all heard that story.
That's like me going out there and taking down a big old linebacker. Lineman. I always say linebacker. I don't know why.
Linemen are bigger. Monroe Freeling. It's like you going out there and hitting Monroe Freeling in the head with a stone.
I don't know who that is, but sure. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so David went from being such a man who was in full surrender to God to a man who he was a king. And I think a lot of times we see that when people are put on such a high pedestal, like celebrities or somebody like a king, they often lose their sight of God because, I mean,
Mm.
they don't need him anymore. So they think, you know, they've lost their want for him because they have all these material things, like things that aren't going to last, but things that they think will last. So he lost sight of God and he put his eyes on things like lust and Bathsheba, and like he was supposed to be out in war, but instead he stayed home without putting his armor on. And I think that was like a cool point Trey made, was that like instead of going out and putting his armor on and winning the good fight, he stayed back and didn't put his armor on.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a good point. Like, as Christians, we're supposed to put on the full armor of God and we're supposed to go out into battle. We don't just sit back and think that God's going to do something with us not trying, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's pointless.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
that's my like condensed version of Trey's sermon.
That was good. Basically sums it up. We don't even have to do this podcast no more.
Sorry.
Nah, I'm playing. But it's so in the second verse it says, David got up from his bed and was walked around from the roof of the palace. From the roof he saw a woman bathing. I just realized it says one evening David got up from his bed. So David isn't waking up in the morning. David's a guy, like you just said. He's a king. He's over Israel, and he's a guy that's supposed to be out to war. Not doing that. He's in his bed up until evening.
He's being a bum,
He's
basically.
being a bum. Like, there's just so many hours that you can be a godly man and even a godly woman where you can find the time to serve God and, worship him, give him glory, and do what you need to do for God. And then, but there's this king. You'd think you have all this responsibilities, but he's using his time waking up. I mean, I don't know if he just woke up, but he's in bed. He gets out in the evening, and he's walking around. Find me this lady. Like,
Yeah.
there's
I
so much
mean,
more you could be doing.
If David was in full surrender to God, he would be using his free time with God and not with Satan and like the things of Satan.
Mm.
He would be using his free time to glorify God in all that he does. And I think that that's something that, we need to look at in our lives is what are we doing in our free time to glorify God? Like, yeah, you go to work and yeah, you go to school and it's hard to, find time for God at those things, but even if, are you still glorifying God in those areas? Are you glorifying God when you leave work? Are you glorifying God while you're at work? So it's things like that. Like, he could have been using that time for so many other things,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like he could have been at war doing that for God's glory.
Yeah.
You don't have to strictly always be in prayer or reading. I mean, that's good, but saying like when you go to work, school, whatever you have to do, you should be doing that to honor God and do whatever you do with your hands. Work at it as you're doing it for God, not anyone else. So
Yeah.
that's a good point.
I mean, I think surrender a lot of times is like seen as weakness. Like,
For
if
a
I,
man,
yeah,
in
or just
general.
any person, because like even me, I'm just like a hard headed person. So the thought of surrendering to something or somebody is like I just want to be independent of myself,
Mhm.
Like, why do you think surrender is seen as such like a weak thing?
Um, I think it's 100% pride. I think like I'm not saying you're just. I mean, we're all prideful. It's not just you. We're all prideful,
Yeah,
and pride comes before the fall. Pride is you're gonna have it your whole life. Because that's just our human nature. I mean, that's what got Satan kicked out of heaven. And he's gonna put on every single one of us all the time because he knows that's one of the number one things that can bring you down. Pride, and I think especially with a lot of men, it's really easy to have pride in yourself, especially when you're um especially when other men are kind of belittling you. Kind of get
yeah.
a little like, you get prideful.
You
It's
want to
not,
like prove yourself?
yeah, you get prideful. That's just not the way things should be going. Especially just like Mallory. I mean, you could just be the person that's I want to be independent. It's not necessarily just pride all the time, but I do think it is pride.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it though, surrender isn't a weakness. Surrender is becoming weak to God so that he can be your strength.
Mm-hmm.
It's like allowing God to pick up your slack.
It's acknowledging. It's you telling God,
Yeah.
yes, I am weak. Pick me up. Like it's more like you don't go to God and say, God, I'm strong and I'm gonna keep doing this with you. Like, no, you go to God and say, God, I'm weak, so I want you to lift me up because we're all weak.
Yeah. And surrender doesn't always have to be like a move that you make. Surrender can be you sitting back and letting God make that move and allowing God to move things around in your life. Because oftentimes, like I found, I always want to be in control. I always want to be the one moving things around. But in reality, I need to surrender. And I think that's what surrender is. It's not necessarily you moving, it's you allowing God to move.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, like, David could have just turned away and been like, yeah, I probably should not have just seen that.
Mm-hmm.
And he could have went about his day. But he didn't. He fell into that.
He's weak, but he
Yeah.
thought he was strong.
Yeah.
And
And I
not strong
think,
because he fell.
like something Trey said that really stuck to me is temptation itself isn't a sin. It's what you do with that temptation. Like, temptation is something that can make us stronger or it can reveal our weaknesses. And that's something that really stuck out to me.
And fasting reveals, like, you don't know, like pride will blind you to your temptations. Like, you'd be like, I don't have that many temptations. Yeah, you do all the time, but it's your pride that's blinding you from seeing what sins you have. So fasting will really help that. Bring that out, and it'll show you. Think about it, like, what should you fast from?
Yeah.
I mean, food is the number one option, of course, but there's always things you could fast from that you have idols.
And I also want to say that I think burning up in here.
It is hot in here. I'm sweating. Y'all don't want to see my back. It's like soaked.
That's a little disgusting. I don't think they need to know that. Cut. Okay. Anyways, TMI.
Well.
Okay. Anyways, what I was saying is I think that people see surrender as a weakness because they see surrender as giving up. Like, what do you think the difference between that is? Like, the two of them?
Surrender and giving up?
Yeah.
I think giving up. I think the reason they think surrender is also, I was talking about pride. Surrender, you're surrendering because you are weak, and giving up, you're giving up because you are weak. But I think that giving up means you just fully quit. Like, you're weak, so you end up quitting. But I think with surrender, you acknowledge you're weak so you can get back up, so you don't have to fall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And surrender means that you're surrendering to something. So, like, you're not giving up something, you're giving away something to something else.
Yeah.
Giving up means that you're completely done. Like, it's like you're wiping your hands off, you're washing your feet, you're done. Like, there's nothing more.
I think it's more embarrassing to give up than to surrender yourself, of course.
It definitely takes more strength to surrender than it does to give up.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's why everyone failed. Not everyone. That's why most people fail.
That's why you're all failures.
No, that's why most people fail is because it's hard. It's hard to get rid of that pride.
Yeah, it really is.
And one of Josiah Queen's song, one of the lyrics, I forgot how it goes word for word. It's like something like, the funny thing about pride is that you'll have it all your life.
Yeah.
And it's just blinding to us. We end up having it all of our life.
But I think something like, if you do struggle with pride and if you do struggle with not surrendering, a very humbling thing to do is pray for God to to humble you himself. And like, I've prayed that prayer before, and it's just crazy the string of events that happens after that. Like, you truly do get humbled. And don't pray that unless you're not willing to go through the storm that comes with that. Because God needs to show you, like, what humbleness looks. Humbleness, yeah. Humbleness, whatever.
I didn't even say.
You know what I'm saying. He needs to show you what that looks like, because you gotta learn,
Yeah.
It's a process.
Mhm. So, uh, one of the things Trey told me, or not me, but the congregation, he spoke to me. No, God spoke to me. But
He spoke straight to you.
he said that David had a bunch of wives. Like David had a bunch of wives, but he still chose that Bathsheba. And it just goes to show that you can be a king, you can have all these wives, you can have everything you want, but nothing will satisfy like Jesus will. Um,
Yeah.
and I think if you're one of those people, you might be young, you might be a little older than us, you might be our age. But if you're struggling with your identity and like money and financial stuff, give it to God, surrender that to God. It's so important to, of course, you got to manage your money well and just know where you're at with what you're doing. But I think it's important to not let things like material things and worldly things and money get in the way of your relationship with God. And I think that's something that David really struggled with is having everything he's probably ever wanted, all these wives, this
Yeah.
palace, this whole Israel. Like he's the top guy, but he chose sin, and he chose to murder someone. It just goes to show that nothing will ever satisfy other than Jesus.
Yeah, I think our point of this whole thing is that like the Lord will reveal things one day. And so like it's either you surrender now and give your life to God, or you have all of this stuff revealed to you at the end of time that you know were wrong, but you still didn't surrender those things to God. So, like, what are some things in your life that you need to surrender? And you know that you need to surrender them, but you've pushed them down for so long that you just are blinded to the fact that they're even there anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I just want to follow up a little bit off of that. Um, you can't run from sin. You can't hide from sin. Sin's gonna be revealed either way,
Yeah.
whether you surrender yourself or you're still sitting in your red flags. Sin will always be there, and you just can't run from God. You can't hide from God.
The only the only reason you're uncomfortable in the presence of God is because He is the light and He reveals the dark things inside of you.
Yeah.
Anyways, y'all, thanks for watching. If you want to ask us any questions or send us some podcast ideas, just let us know. And yeah, it will be down there, right? Up there.
Just
down
say
there.
it.
It'll
Just
be
say it.
somewhere.
No, just say it.
Or
So,
just come tell us because that's easy too.
do you remember that Gmail?
Nope,
It's
not at all.
It's Overflow Podcast Youth. Sorry, let me reset. It's Overflow Podcast Youth.
Overflowed?
I'm just gonna put it right here. All right, peace. We'll
We
see y'all
give
next
up.
week.